my channel. I'm Tiffany, a retired librarian turned homeschool mom. And yes, the office is getting messy again. This is being filmed on the 12th of December. My Papa San isn't here because my Christmas tree is in its place. The creepy looking picture behind me is the picture of my much, much late grandmother, Marcella, and her brother, whose name I don't know. This picture, my mother's memorial, was a couple weeks ago. She died, unfortunately, very suddenly at the end of September of this year. Again, this is 2023 when I'm filming this. That used to hang in our hallway. My father gave it to me at her memorial a couple weeks ago, which would have been December 1st, which would have been her 67th birthday. So, and then her sewing stuff is behind me as well. That's that white thing in the box. That is my late mother's sewing machine. I am going to be covering my the cushions for my outdoor furniture, which is the reason there's a, filming this backwards here. Wrong shoulder. That fabric, which my daughter picked out, that fabric, which is the reason it's sitting there. So now, enough about my personal life and on to this. So this is, obviously, Titanic. The James Cameron Titanic. If you do not know what this is, I do not know what rock you have been hiding under. This film was extremely popular. It's still made fun of. I don't know why. It was very much, I don't know how to say this. People insulted this film for no good bloody reason besides the fact that it was popular. It was a very good film. It was very well done. Cameron is very much obsessed with the Titanic, as in the ship, not this film. And yes, the entire story was an excuse for James Cameron to shoot a movie about the sinking of the Titanic. And he's done a whole bunch of documentaries and stuff since then about the Titanic, because this is James Cameron, and that's just kind of what James Cameron does. He's big on spectacle. And no, as far as I know, I'm not reviewing any Avatar films. Yes, I've seen the first one. But I do not have time to see the second one. I have other things to do. Let's move on to this film. So, I'm going to go over this because there may be some people who don't know the point of this film. This film tells the story of a young woman, mostly, by the name of Rose DeWitt Debunkter. I may be mispronouncing that. Who is very, very fictional. She is, if I remember correctly, she is engaged to be married to Cal Hockley, who is a very wealthy, very abusive man. Her family, from what I can remember, probably comes from aristocracy. So he's marrying her for her title, essentially. Her father was broke. Her mother is Ruth DeWitt Debaker. So they're going on the Titanic, going back to New York for her to marry Cal. And he's just a massive dick. And essentially what happens is she's disenchanted very much by the fact that her entire life is going to be going to dinners, going to charities, talking with the same ladies, dressing up, and essentially she's going to be bored out of her mind, and she tries to jump off the back of the ship. She's in an evening gown. She tries to jump off the back of the Titanic on its first night out. And she is met by, obviously, Leonardo DiCaprio's character. The actress is Kate Winslet, who is playing Jack Dawson. Now, Jack Dawson is supposedly an American. Him is one of his friends. He's an artist. They've been in Europe. They won their steerage tickets in a card game with, I think, I think they were Russians. Wasn't quite sure. So they won their tickets in a card game, him and his Italian friend. And he somehow gets to the back of the ship. I don't know how. He's third class, she's first. And stops her from jumping into the water. And they embark on a love affair. And at one point in time, he is somehow invited again. This is very, very fictional, would not actually happen in real life, to dinner with them. And he's impressed upon by an actual person who's played by, let me bring up my thing here. I can Molly Brown, who's played by Kathy Bates. Now, Molly Brown, also known as the unsinkable Molly Brown, was in fact a person. Yes, I am doing another fictionalized, much older film called The Unsinkable Molly Brown on her, but again, that's much more fictionalized, and I filmed that a long time ago. Me and my husband watched it. So, but Molly Brown was in fact a real person. She was new money. And again, you very much also see this in the class things where Rose and her mother and even Cal they're old money. They inherited their money. Molly Brown did not. Her husband, again, this Molly Brown, though I do not know, I don't remember, I don't think she actually went by that. That was in real life. But her husband, basically, he owned a piece of land. They struck gold. And so she was new money. And she was on her way home. It's obviously not specified. I think she was on her way home to see a grandchild or something. Was sick. So she was an American. And she kind of takes Jack in a little bit, and he's presented. Obviously, Cal realizes that Rose is having at least some sort of an affair with this guy. He is royally pissed off. And essentially, the night the Titanic sinks, she's with Jack. Cal fights with her. He locks up Jack. He tries to force Rose on a boat with her mother. She gets off. She goes, finds Jack. He's locked up. She gets him. Eventually, the fiance sees them. He put a coat on her. They end up in the water. Jack dies because she's on the on the door. There's been stuff on that. And she gets into the boat. A lot of this also revolves around a necklace, which we will get to. She survives. She gets on the Carpathia. She gives her, when they asked her who she is, she gives her name as Rose Dawson. And that's how the film ends. Now, how it begins, we're going to go back in time, or forward in time, depending. You have the character of, we're in at least present time, of Brock Lovett, who's played by Bill Paxton. And let me see if I can find a picture. And basically, he's on a ship. He's looking for the heart of the ocean, which is a rare blue diamond that supposedly went down with the ship because it was owned by Cal. And so he gets this safe, breaks up, he's scavenging through the Titanic, and they find this drawing that Jack had done of Rose in nothing but that diamond. So the famous "draw me like one of your French girls" scene, because he was drawing naked women in France, and it was very risque, at least obviously for an upper class woman. And this rare blue diamond called the heart of the ocean. So Bill Paxton's character is looking for this, and then they put it on the news, and it is seen by this old woman by the name of Rose Calvert and she's with her grandmother, with her granddaughter, and she's like, she's looking, it's like, that's me. And her granddaughter's like, what? You think that's you? It's like, no, that is me. And of course, they end up calling the ship, and you have this scene where she ends up on this old woman ends up on the phone with him, and she's like, have you found the heart of the ocean? He's like, okay, nobody supposed to know they were looking for this. He found it in a bunch of old records. It's like, okay, I'm listening. Do you know who the person is in the painting, in the drawing? She's like, yep, it's me. And then they bring her on the ship with her granddaughter, and she tells this whole story of what happened. And then you go at the end when she gives her name and she's like, nobody's ever heard of Jack. It's like, of course they wouldn't because he got on the ship with tickets. He wanted a card game. It's like, now you know him. And it's a whole big love story. This is a really fun film. Cameron really did stick closely. You did a lot of the replicas of the Titanic. You see the ship. It's a very interesting. Cameron is known for his visuals, and it's really, really good in that sense. I do know some of the background. One of the interesting things that I remember watching is in the real Titanic, they had this huge, gorgeous grand staircase, and nobody knew what the heck happened to it because it was missing in the wreck. Well, when they were sinking the pseudo ship, because they made it out of the same wood, it broke up and shot. It floated because wood floats. It just shot through the glass ceiling as once the ship got underwater. So that's probably what actually happened to the real staircase. So it's a good film. It's a good romance. It's obviously not for younger kids. No, you barely see boob in this. It is very interesting. There is a couple of my issues, and I'm going to be probably mentioning this more, and I've mentioned this often. Bruce Ismay is presented on here. Now, Bruce Ismay was the president of the White Star Line. He was, at the time, on the ship as a passenger, but he was blamed for the sinking. The ship was never said that it was unsinkable. Those terms were not used, particularly not by the White Star Line. It was state of the art. No, they did not have enough lifeboats for everyone. It wasn't required. They actually had more lifeboats than was legally required. Ismay had nothing to do with that. He was on the ship as a passenger. There is no record of him ever saying they should speed up when they are going through icebergs. He was not evil. He was not mean. He was not that arrogant. He actually helped a lot of women and children get aboard boats. The only reason he got on was because there was literally no women and children that were around and that were left, and they were calling for them. And that is how he got in there. He actually paid for some of the funerals and gravestones of the crew that were recovered and then buried in Halifax, in Canada. Yes, I have been to Halifax. I've seen some of those graveyards. Yes, there is a grave of the guy by the name of Jack. He, however, I believe was a steward. So he did not have a love affair. No, this would completely not happen. They were very much separated with the Titanic. The first and second class were very much separated. You were not the first and third class. No. The steerage was kept where the steerage needed to be kept. He would not have had any interaction with her. The other thing that they show, which is nonsense, is they never tried to keep the steerage people from getting to the boats. The reason there weren't a lot of steerage women and children who survived, it was a distance thing. They were in the bottom of the ship. It took them too long to get up to the boat deck. Nobody intentionally tried to kill them. They just, as much as there was a class separation, the staff were not going to do that. There is no record. That was not something anybody ever reported. It is shown in this film. That did not happen. It was added in this film for dramatic effect. So those are my interesting issues, is how badly they treat Bruce Ismay, which seems to be a running theme here. I will be reviewing another miniseries where they do the exact same bloody damn thing. And again, they held an inquiry. The U.S. Congress held an inquiry. They did not find Bruce Ismay liable. He was on the ship as a passenger. And again, as As far as we know, the other person they present, that was, again, a real life person. Let me hold on. Besides Captain Smith, who was the captain, yes, he did go down on the ship, was Thomas Andrews, who was the architect. Again, yes, he was on the ship. Yes, he was a passenger. Yes, he went down with the ship. No, he was not actually pushing for more lifeboats. Again, this is just a myth. They actually had more lifeboats than was legally required. Now, after the Titanic sunk, the laws changed. So yes, now you have to not only have drills, and yes, I've been on 2 cruises. They do in fact have a couple of drills so you know where to go to get on lifeboats. But they do have lifeboats for everyone. But that was after the sinking of the Titanic, not before. So, very good film. Again, there's a few issues, but it's fiction. It's very much a fiction thing. And they just really need to stop vilifying Bruce Ismay. I have another mini-series that I have to find that I borrowed from the library that's somewhere around here. Hopefully they won't continue to do that in that one, but I'm not holding out hope on them vilifying of Ismay. Oh, the other thing that in the families, one of the head stewards apparently brought out a gun and supposedly possibly killed himself. That's disputed, particularly by his family. No, the band did not play various things until the ship went down. That's also a myth. No, it did not break apart at the top, no matter what people said. Cameron, they went down, they investigated this. It's like, nope, this wasn't habitable because otherwise the debris field would be much, much larger than it is. But again, this is what we have. And yes, the Titanic, when it went down, it did eventually break in two. And it may have looked like it was breaking in two when it went into the water. So, nonetheless, this is a fun, well done film. It is a huge spectacle. They did as accurate, particularly with this ship, which is really, really cool. It's very, very beautiful. They got the costuming right, which was fantastic. So that's also, it's a period drama that does very, very well for what it is. And it's very, very interesting. And I enjoy this film. Okay? A lot of people enjoy this film next to Avatar. It is the highest ranking billing film in history because Cameron is very good, which means a lot of people like this film. I remember when this film came out. A lot of people like this film. I like this film. It is a good film. That is the end of this. We're going to stop ranting here. I will rant some more throughout various other different, couple of other videos on the Titanic. So if you like what you see, be sure to like and subscribe. Yes, I am covering books of the Titanic. I think most of those, in fact, all of those have been filmed by this point. So check those out. Those will be coming out on Monday. This is coming out on Friday. As you guys see this in April, I will be covering, look forward to Angel Island. Particularly the book reviews for that. Those are really, really interesting. That's coming up next month. Ellis Island, which I am in the process of reviewing the books for that, is coming up in June. And then we are going into cooking, women inventors, doing the deep dive into Beauty and the Beast, which I am looking forward to. I've already done this with Cinderella a couple years ago. You can check out that playlist. I'm doing space in October. The Hindu Festival of Diwali, which yes, I filmed all the books like months ago because I found them at the library. That's November, and then we're doing mysteries in December. I am currently finishing off the Anne of Green Gables series with the short stories. And then we'll be moving on to Boxcar Children, which I have in fact ordered, and then I just bought the Wings of Fire series, which is coming after that from Costco yesterday. So those are incoming, as well as homeschooling videos sometime in October, or no, August, when we officially start kindergarten. So like and subscribe, and thank you.